A grain of sand. What could it possibly mean? Nothing. It doesn't mean much. This video is going to be very quick, but I feel I'd make a video on it because technically it's news, I guess. See, Mortal Kombat is so dead right now that we look at a grain of fucking sand and go, oh my god, MK12 teaser, MK12 teaser. And yes, I think this was quite clear, well, not that clear, but I think it was supposed to be a teaser for MK12. Basically, Mortal Kombat, NetherRealm, on the official YouTube, they made a thank you video, which was just a bunch of people at the company who was saying thank you. And yeah, fuck off. That's a fuck off from me. Don't like NRS. I've talked about why before. Toxic company. And I don't like what they make. No, like for just the people who are just regular employees, and yeah, I have no issue with them. Like it's not like anyone specifically in the video. I'm like, I fucking hate you, except Ed Boon. And yeah, at the end of the video, Boona shows up, and he's like, oh, we're not done just yet. And then he shows this. Look, it's sand. It's sand. Shea looking sand. That looks overly detailed, so people think it's crystal meth. Boom! What could it mean? I can see I'm not really taking this very seriously. Because, yeah, there's not really anything to gather from it. I'll cover what this could mean real quick, is that there's still hourglass involvement, because it looks like the sands of an hourglass falling down. The explosion could suggest that, like, the hourglass is blown up. It could be the very last grain of sand, which triggers the new timeline or whatever. I don't know how the hourglass works. I don't think NetherRealm knows how the hourglass works. The most concerning thing to note here is that they're still keeping the hourglass around. At least I assume that's what this trailer's supposed to be of, which isn't good. You know, why would you reboot and then keep your main issue, the Hourglass and Fire God Liu Kang? Just do a hard reboot, right? And I'm growing concerned that they won't do a hard reboot. They will do the same mistake, the massive mistake MK9 made, and do a soft reboot where any more retcons they do will be even more ridiculous because it's supposed to be the same continuity. Although here it is a new timeline, so stuff can change, I suppose. But the hourglass is too vague for stuff to change and for it to make sense anyway. Especially when it's supposed to be Liu Kang's new era. So any villain showing up means he's just been a massive fuck up at his job. He said he'd erase Shang Tsung, so if we get a new thing, then presumably he's gone, right? Even though the end of Aftermath, he literally wants to train Great Kung Lao for a tournament, which implies Sung is alive anyway. Makes sense, doesn't it? Which is why I don't want this. I don't want them to follow up on that. And I'm not sure anymore, but I feel like there's a lot of chances that they don't. They just kind of ignore it. This teaser could be completely irrelevant for anything in Mortal Kombat 12. But you cannot see the hourglass at all, right? Because they're terrible at following up on stuff. The MKX's ending didn't really follow up on it. Sort of, because Dark Raiden's there and he's immediately killed. That could be the MK12 scenario, where they don't, like, just ignore the ending. Like, it's something that happened, sort of, but it's not actually that relevant. That could be it. You know, I don't want to see Fire God Liu Kang. I don't think most do, you know? Especially when that means that Raiden will be immortal and will probably... And that means he's at the biggest risk of not being a playable character, which is quite concerning because Raiden is the only MK1 character that you can actually justify being on the roster time and time again due to its like plot relevance. You can't just say it for anyone else except maybe Liu Kang, but even then Liu Kang, you know, he doesn't have to be the main hero always. And I hate people praise MK11's story just because they made Liu Kang the main hero again. when no, he needs a fuse with fucking Raiden to actually be the hero. Like that doesn't even make him look good. Especially when in Aftermath his plan is stupid and causes a lot of like tragic shit. And he doesn't care because he's a psychopath and he's like, oh, I'll just reset the timeline. So yeah, can't say this teaser made me looking forward to anything, you know. I don't think much of it, but if we're looking at the simple fact that it's hourglass based, it's sand based, it suggests that the hourglass is still around in some capacity, which would mean God, Liu Kang is still around, right? Probably. I don't know. It's weird. We've been shown in Snowblind, the movie that everyone forgotten about in a week, and rightfully so. It showed that they will just give the hourglass to anyone because Kano had it. Because reasons, they don't explain it. But yeah, it shows us a gimmick they're willing to use again, and that is a massive concern. Don't reboot the timeline and then keep the time travel bullshit, because then you're going to want to do another reboot. And it's weird because the same game that decides, let's do a reboot now, it's one that also fucks up the timeline with the time travel stuff. Very questionable decision making. But yeah, just stop rebooting. You know, we could be fortunate enough that they ignore Aftermath ending so much that we don't even get a reboot, and we just keep going. Because yeah, keep moving forward. Keep giving us at least some new concepts for your story, your premise, roster. Don't just go back and then do the original stuff but worse again for about the 5th time. Don't do that. Because that's the thing. If NetherRealm had a huge overhaul and they had competent writers, and those writers had like proper creative control, then I'd be all for it. But right now it seems like there's just Dominic, who's the sole writer, and I have no faith in him because I've seen his Twitter account. He just chats bullshit. If you're a writer and you're establishing lore for an official franchise through Twitter, then you're shit at your job. You have your official products to show this lore, and even then the lore he is talking about on Twitter is dog shit. So great, and we don't know if to take it canon or not because it's just this guy's word. There's also the fact that Sean Kirtleson revealed that you need to get your story ideas approved by Ed Boon, who has never been the story guy. It's always been John Tobias and Sean Vogel. Vogel still works at the company. I don't know why he's not allowed a hand in any of the story stuff. I don't know. So yeah, I think whatever this is setting up, it's doomed to fail, even if it's completely irrelevant to what happens. I think we'll come at 12. From a story perspective, at the very least, it's going to fail. And I think its roster is going to be incredibly boring, especially if it is a reboot, because then you only have the trilogy characters, and even worse, if they do the Great Kung Lao thing, which I don't think they will, but I don't know. If they do it, then that means you don't have any of your regular Earthbound characters, except maybe you can do like DLC and then chuck in some non-canon appearances from like Kombat kits or whatever. Because they all keep talking about like, oh, we need to keep them in control. Do people not fucking think about the story and the fact that there's no way we're going to have a reboot in a time frame that has done the time skip already, where the Kombat kids are going to be around? People do realise that, right? So I think I have a chance in non-canon DLC, I guess. But God, I'm not looking forward to it, because when you're doing another reboot, regardless of what it is, and you still get the same shitty writer, and the same shitty creative control, and the same shitty management, why should I have faith for another reboot? Why should I care? And yeah, I think come Mortal Kombat 13, I'm more interested when we see where the fuck the story's going. In terms of core gameplay, I don't care. You want to know why I don't care? Because they reset everything. And I'm not just talking about the story, I'm talking about the core gameplay. You want to know why it takes them 4 fucking years? Double the time that MK games used to take. You know, back in the 3D era, we got one every 2 years. Which meant like character absences and stuff like that, which they were much better managing. Hell, Armageddon, look at that roster. The amount of fan service is insane. It was just much more convenient. And I don't want them to show in the time the games take, because then they're going to be even more rushed. And I don't want the employees to go through any more crunch time, because NetherRealm's dog shit, WB's dog shit. But yeah, when you are starting from scratch, it's naturally going to take more time, especially when they're also working on Injustice projects, which it seems like if you work at NetherRealm, you don't just work on one franchise, you also have to do Injustice, which is really dumb. But the situation here is that there hasn't even been an Injustice game within the 4-year gap wait. So I don't know what the fuck they've been doing. I know COVID definitely plays a factor. But yeah, it is strange. And I don't even think it's going to be a 2023 release. I think we're looking at 2024. The announcement for this will come at Evo this year, which is like August 5th, I think. I don't know. It's early August, I believe. I think that's... Like, I'm 90% sure that's going to be where the game is revealed. Or at least announced. They'll do like another shitty Scorpion vs. Sub-Zero reveal trailer or whatever. That doesn't actually show off the game. But we will be told that, yeah, more Kombat 12 is coming. And then I'll say, like, when they have an actual reveal event that shows actual game and stuff. So, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I don't see it being a 2023 release. I think it's going to be early 2024. Like, MK11 was revealed in 2018 and 2019 release. That's so fucking long ago. It turned 4 years old the other week, by the way, MK11. And MK11 is the only NRS game I like from a core gameplay standpoint. But then it fails at everything else with the live service bullshit. And that live service bullshit could carry over for the future games. Especially when WB's been trying to do it with like other stuff, like whenever the fuck that Suicide Squad game is. Although that had so much backlash, you had to change it and delay the game even further. So, if that's the case, then can we do the same for MK12, please? Because when you have the live service stuff for a game that's not live service only works for like a game that's not like an entry in a franchise. It's just this one game that you give consistent updates that are game changing, like your Fortnites, your Overwatches, which are usually free to play, mind you. And the service goes on for years and years and years, and they don't stop after 2 years because, oh no, no one plays our game anymore because it's dog shit. So, yeah, I think that I think MK12 is just going to fail. I don't know what it's even going to be, but I have no faith in the rest. There's no signs of it changing. This has been the lowest point the franchise has gone, you know? In these past years where we've got nothing but dog shit movies following MK11, which is, for the most part, disappointed fans. Like from the gameplay, people don't really like the gameplay. And I'm someone who actually likes the gameplay. I have an issue with everything else within the company and with the games they make. The gameplay is whatever. I think the franchise should be 3D era, but I think that's too late, you know. MK9 should just never revert back to 2D, but since they have, then they're going to stick with 2D. Sure, that makes sense. Although they don't carry over the assets, so they could just completely change it to a 3D game, and it would probably take the same amount of effort. You know? It's very weird. And which is just because we don't know. You know, and people have been like, oh please let MK12 play like MKX. That would be dog shit if it is, right? You know, it's just going to be something completely different for the most part. It will, if anything, it'll carry over like MK11 features and mechanics and stuff. But the three games in the first NRS trilogy here, they're completely different. They create brand new assets for 99% of the stuff. Even though reusing assets is like a like core thing that developers should do for sequels. The 3D era is so fantastic, and if you play one, you can understand the others, you know, and it's because they reuse assets and stuff. But then but then it's not like they just leave a game at that. They add a bunch of new content to justify the new price and the 2-year wait for the next game. Like chess combat, puzzle combat, motor combat, conquests, different rosters, new fight styles, new gameplay mechanics, interactive stages. A bunch of stages, by the way, more stages than the 2D backgrounds in the NRS games. They can't even do as many stages as the 3D ones that had actual gameplay changing stuff. That's probably because they focus too much on the graphics, if I were to guess, because they're just backgrounds, because 2D, and 2D limits what you can do. God, this has gone much longer than I thought. This has just been me ranting this morning. But I mean, there's so many things, right? I hope the customization that 11 had is expanded on. I hope it's improved. I hope how you get stuff is improved. I hope there's actual side modes and not just all towers of time. Or the crypt that is technically like a conquest mode, but it's not, because there's no real story. And I just want to unlock my items. Why do I have to go through this fucking shitty little action adventure thing? Yeah. There's just no reason. There's no reason for me to be excited about this game. Not yet. And when they do start reveal stuff, I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, this is even more shit than I imagined. That's probably going to be the scenario. I remember Onslaught, I made a video about it. I was like, okay, this could be really good. And then within the week, it turned out, it's even worse than the actual other mobile game we have. And it just reused MK11 assets, but doesn't really add anything else. There's no actual new characters. Like, what the fuck are you playing at? And for some reason they have MK11 level cinematics in a mobile game. Like, why? It's so weird. And if anything, I hope that's the start of the new timeline, even though Onslaught story is like baby levels of storytelling. The dialogue is written by 10-year-olds, I swear. It is atrocious. But I'd rather we just move on with the timeline, because the story of the next timeline is it's going to be bad regardless, because they're not changing how they handle things creatively, as I've said before, which is why I just want us to move on and do some new ideas. The concerning thing is like what the roster's going to be. Because all our generic guys, but like they're chucking some out there. Pick probably Havoc, right? Havoc is the most requested character. It just makes sense. He'll be like the oddball 3D era character pick, I assume. Another one is Onaga maybe, but when it's a reboot, I don't see Onaga getting in. At least in being in a main boss role. He could be like DLC, but that would be really weird, Maybe a pre-order bonus. I think Kentaro might be the pre-order bonus. I don't know. I have no clue. This teaser, again, it's just Hourglass stuff, which suggests that, yeah, we're going to have a shit story again. It's no surprise. But at least we're getting somewhere. We're moving forward. We're going to be getting some MK12 stuff soon. As I said, August would be what I expect. And the reason why I think it's that Evo is because MK11 is actually there. And I don't care about Evo. I don't care about like, competitive stuff. I think the fighting game community takes these games way too seriously. Fucking frame data. If you're talking about frame data for a game, then you're not having fun. But yeah, the reason I think that is because MK11 is at Evo, and it wasn't like prior years. So that suggests that MK has a reason to be there, have something to show off. Otherwise, no one would want them there. So yeah, I hope the franchise gets better, but I don't think MK12 is going to mark that point of improvement. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see what it is. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.